You know, that night the rain was coming down so hard on my little house in Phoenix. It sounded like bullets ricocheting off the roof, relentless, angry, just like him. I was shoving my old oak dresser against the door, my hands slippery from sweat and a cut I'd gotten scrambling away earlier. While Mark me X, that controlling bastard, was out there pounding on the wood, yelling my name like he owned it. Emily, you open this damn door right now, or I'll make you regret it. My heart was racing so fast it felt like it might burst, and all I could think was how I'd ignored every red flag for years: his jealousy, the way he'd twist my words, the bruises he'd apologize for later, until I finally packed up and left last month, thinking a fresh start in this dusty suburb would keep me safe. But here he was, drunk and furious, because I'd inherited my grandma's land out near the desert, and he couldn't stand the idea of me having something he couldn't control. I backed away from the door, grabbing a kitchen knife that felt pathetic in my grip. Like, what was I going to do? Wave it around. And that's when the power flickered, plunging everything into shadows except for the lightning flashes outside. Mark kicked harder, the frame cracking, his voice slurring through the gaps. You think you can just take that land and cut me out? It's ours. Emily, you owe me. And I knew he wasn't just talking about us anymore. He'd been scheming with some shady real estate guy in the neighborhood HOA, trying to pressure me into selling so they could flip it for condos, but I'd said no, and now his rage had boiled over into this nightmare. My real phone was smashed from when he'd first burst in earlier, so I rummaged in the drawer for that old burner I'd kept from my waitressing days at a dive bar off Route 10, you know, the kind you used to dodge creeps in. There was only one number in it. Jake Harlan, this rugged biker who'd stepped in once when a drunk grabbed me at work, paid the guy's tab to make him leave, then slipped me his card with a quiet, "If trouble finds you, call day or night." I'd chuckled back then, but now my fingers shook as I dialed, the line crackling with static before his deep voice answered, steady as a rock. "Who's this?" And I whispered, barely breathing, "It's Emily, the waitress." "He's here. Jake, my ex, breaking in. Please help." There was a pause, just a heartbeat, then he said, low and commanding, "Lock yourself in if you can. Stay quiet. We're rolling out." And in the background I heard engines revving, one after another, like a pack of wolves waking up. Outside, Mark slammed his shoulder again, roaring, "You called someone? The cops? Huh. They won't get here in time." But it wasn't the cops coming. It was something fiercer, something that didn't wait for paperwork. I huddled in the corner, knife clutched tight, as the door finally splintered and he stumbled in, rain-soaked and red-eyed, grinning like he'd won. "See? You can't run from Medhat land. It's all mine." And he lunged, twisting my arm until the knife clattered away, pinning me down with that same possessive glare I'd seen too many times, whispering, "If I can't have it, no one will." But then the rumble hit. Not thunder, but engines, dozens of them, shaking the windows like an earthquake, headlights piercing the storm as 20 Harleys tore up the street, chrome flashing under lightning. The Thunder Riders, Jake's crew from the Phoenix chapter, swarming like guardians from hell. Jake was first through the door, rain dripping off his leather jacket, his eyes locking on Mark with a cold fury that made my ex freeze mid-sentence. "What the?" Mark stammered, scrambling up, but Jake moved like lightning. One punch sending him reeling, while Mike Donovan, this tall, broad-shouldered guy from the crew, grabbed Mark's arm from behind, twisting it until he howled. "You think you can terrorize her? Big mistake, pal." They zip-tied him in seconds, efficient, no nonsense, and Jake crouched by me, his voice softening for the first time. "You okay? Anywhere hurt?" Tears mixing with the rain on my face as I shook my head, whispering, "I thought that was it. Thank you." And he just nodded. "We don't forget a call for help ever." Outside, the bikes idled like a protective chorus, and as sirens wailed in the distance too late, as always the riders melted back into the night, taillights glowing red like fading embers, leaving Mark trussed up on the porch for the cops, with just a faint boot print in the mud as proof they'd been there. The next morning, the ER lights buzzed harsh overhead as a nurse bandaged my wrist bruised from Mark's grip hand. I sat there numb, the antiseptic smell mixing with wet asphalt from the storm, while this detective eyed me suspiciously. "So, Miss Carter, your ex breaks in, assaults you, and then a biker gang shows up out of nowhere. You know their names?" I hesitated, Remembering Jake's quiet warning glance before they left and drag us in, so I mumbled, "Just one." "Jake." And when he pressed for more, I shrugged. I didn't see much, it just ran. Even though inside I was screaming gratitude, because these guys weren't vigilantes for glory. They had their own code, born from losses like Jake's sister, who died at the hands of an abuser years back, fueling his quiet mission to step in where the system failed. The detective sighed. "You got lucky, not everyone gets a miracle like that." And as he left, I stared out at the gray sky, whispering to myself, luck had nothing to do with it. They chose to come. Word spread fast, local news blasting headlines like "Mystery Bikers Foiled Domestic Assault in Phoenix Suburb," twisting it into gang drama or a hoax. Ignoring the mercy in it all, while back at their garage, Jake tossed his helmet down, rain still pooling on the concrete, telling Mike, "Let him talk's alive, that's what counts." But Mike punched the workbench. They let him out on bail already? After what he did, because Mark's HOA connections had pulled strings, getting him released quick, and Jake's jaw tightened, knowing men like that didn't fade. They circled back, especially with that land dispute hanging like a noose. Sure enough, 2 days later, I was holed up in a cheap motel on the edge of town, packing my bag for the umpteenth time, every creak making me jump paranoid. Yeah, but instinct screamed he wasn't done when headlights flashed outside, and there he was, kicking in the door, revolver gleaming, bloodied from some earlier scuffle, sneering, "You think those leather-clad freaks can protect you?" I called in favor, "Let's finish this." My heart seized as he grabbed my hair, dragging me back, hissing, "That land should have been mine, you ruined everything." But then the rumble built again, engines howling closer, walls trembling, and Mark froze. No way. Just as a Harley crashed through the window, glass exploding like fireworks, Jake leaping off, gun leveled. Wait. No, not a gun, but his presence alone was a weapon, yelling, "Get off her, you coward." Mike burst in from the hall, tackling Mark sideways, the revolver firing wild into a lamp, shattering it in sparks, and in seconds they had him pinned, Jake cuffing him with a chain from his bike, growling, "I warned you, stay gone," while I gasped for air, tears streaming, whispering, "You came back." And Jake's faint smile broke through. "The road doesn't leave folks behind, not on our watch." By dawn, Mark was hauled off, no bail this time, his HOA schemes crumbling under the scrutiny, and I stood in the parking lot, blanket around me, watching the sun rise over the wet asphalt, feeling silence as safety for the first time, though deep down I wondered if justice like this raw, unregulated was right, or if it just sparked more chaos in a world already fractured. Months rolled by, the trial dragging like a bad dream in that dusty Phoenix courthouse, reporters swarming like vultures, calling it the Thunder Riders' rescue, some praising the bikers as heroes, others slamming them as outlaws, stirring up vigilante fever in the community, where HOA power plays had folks divided, some siding with developers like Mark's buddies, others rooting for underdogs like me holding on to family land. On the stand, I faced him, thinner, cuffed, eyes hollow but still defiant, and poured it out, voice steady. "For years I lived in your shadow, Mark, thinking fear was normal, your control, your threats over that inheritance. But that night, when help came roaring in, I realized I deserved better. I forgive you, but I'll make damn sure you can't hurt anyone else." The jury bought it, guilty on all counts, life behind bars, and as they led him away, he snarled one last time, "You'll regret this, those bikers aren't saints." But his words fell flat, powerless now. Outside, I spotted Jake across the street, helmet in hand, giving me a nod, proud, silent before revving his engine and vanishing with the crew, thunder echoing off the buildings like a final punctuation. I rebuilt after that new apartment above a cozy cafe I opened downtown, adopted a mutt named Rusty who barks at storms but curls up warm at night, and even started helping other women in the neighborhood, sharing stories over coffee about spotting red flags early, turning my pain into something useful. Jake swung by once, months later, for a refill, grinning, "Road's been long, you still smiling." And we talked like old friends, him admitting his sister's ghost still drove him, me confessing how his crew's intervention flipped my world. But as he left, patching a Thunder Riders emblem on my wall as a reminder, I couldn't shake the question, was their way bypassing the law, taking risks truly just? Or does it blur lines in communities already torn by power grabs and mistrust? Looking back, maybe angels don't wear halos, they ride Harleys, showing up when the system's too slow, but it leaves you wondering about the gray areas, right? What do you think? Is vigilante justice like that a hero's move, or does it just fuel more division? Drop a comment below, share your take on right and wrong in these messy neighborhood battles, or if you've got a story like mine, hit subscribe, ring that bell. And let's keep the conversation rolling, because sometimes the loudest mercy comes from the unexpected thunder.